Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command. Like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This week, my dear friend Jennifer Finkelstein, a fellow young adult cancer survivor and nonprofit founder of the organization 5 Under 40. She is celebrating her 20th cancerversary as of this broadcast, and she joined me live in studio for a real throwback conversation dating back to her diagnosis in 2005, her journey through Livestrong, her understanding of the movement that existed that we were just building from scratch back then for AYA young adult cancer, her journey with stupid cancer, meeting her peers, the value of not being alone, what it's like to have ambassadors supporting your mission, a little nonprofit therapy, and what good would the show be without a little Wegmans too? Because she went to college upstate New York near me, and now that there's a Wegmans in Manhattan, we bonded over that as well. She's a lot in the best sense. It's a really cool conversation, little fanboying, fangirling going on, but I know you're going to love the show. So without further ado, the lovely and talented Jennifer Finkelstein.
Hopefully it's Gilda, but no, let's not get crazy, Finkelstein.
Well, SNL was just on.
Yes, that's right.
Did you watch it?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I thought they didn't do it justice.
It's
They could have
impossible to
spent
do
more time
that.
in the 70s and 80s.
For sure.
Like there was no Wayne's World. There was no making copies.
Yes.
Yeah, there was none of that stuff.
That's so true.
Yeah.
They missed a lot of it.
They missed all the Farley stuff, too. I mean, they had the Man by the River clip, but, you know,
Right.
we're 80s people. We missed
Right.
the 80s stuff.
Right. Like I am like 1,000,000% like an analog girl, like stuck in this digital world.
Yeah.
I am a throwback, like just everything about me.
You know, if this show had another name, it'd be called Gen X Therapy.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right, listeners, for the radio's sake, her eyes have gone like gaga to rename the show Gen X Therapy. Let us know what you think in the comments. There's no comments on podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Bring it on.
It is so lovely to see you.
It's amazing to be here.
How long's it been?
It's been a minute, and I will say I am so impressed by the studio. It's incredible.
Which they can't see, of course.
Right. But they may as well know about it.
Yeah, it's my little man cave. I love it.
It's not really that little, and this guy is super busy, and there's a lot of stuff going on in here. I'll leave it at that. It's awesome.
So we're taping this in mid-February, right after Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day to you as
Yes.
well.
This will air probably in late April, but at your 20th cancerversary.
Whoa. Did
How's
all
that
the
feel?
research. It's so interesting. It doesn't feel like anything yet because I don't want to say it's never. I just don't celebrate cancerversaries. Is that a bad thing to say?
No, it's not a bad thing at all.
Right.
I kind of have to because people want to know how much longer I've been living for some reason at 30 years later.
Well, because you inspire us all. I mean, are you kidding me? Like your longevity and how you thrived, and they gave you like 0% chance at like living, let alone thriving. You know, it's this rare, incurable brain tumor. I mean, it's unreal. It is a story for the ages. When I think back to the cancer stories that inspired me, aside from the bad after school specials and Ann Jillian's story and all of these things like Matthew
Back when
Zachary.
everyone died in the movies.
Yeah, and you wash like your hair. Well, sometimes people do watch their hair go down the drain, but we at 5 Under 40, we're always trying to get people to stay ahead of it. But obviously, with metastatic breast cancer, which has really been our focus for a long time now, that can make it difficult. So the hair still goes down the drain, but I just had all of these visuals. But yeah, there's nothing I did. I feel like it's luck. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's the right answer. Some people don't like that answer.
They don't like it. They're like, I've done everything right. There is no doing everything right.
I had someone on the show a couple of weeks ago who was like an Olympic gymnast athlete, the fittest zero body fat woman you've ever met. She like teaches like with like swords and karate and can kill a man 9 ways. And she got breast cancer.
Yep. That's what happens.
It's non-denominational.
It transcends everything. And, it's wild because the image that I had was postmenopausal woman, very overweight, and didn't take care of themselves, perhaps was a smoker. I mean, smoker, like now as
back when we were allowed to stigmatize.
Right. And now my mom is just like pacing back and forth, like sitting is the new smoking.
Oh my God.
Maxine Finkelstein's extremely scary.
So that is your maiden name.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I couldn't take Fafalac.
Oh boy. Yes.
Yes.
Downgrade.
Yeah, but I am just such a Finkelstein. Everything about me, I own my identity from day one, being teased.
Did you go to Jew camp?
I did not go to, I went to Jew day camp in New Jersey.
Okay.
But my brother did go to Jew camp. He went to Echo Lake.
I went to Camp Echo Regular in Burlingame, New York.
Wow.
Burlington, one of those
Burlington,
up to 17 by the Quickway down there.
Yes. Yeah. My day camp was like in Stanhope. What was that like? Do you keep in touch with people from
I have a couple of very few friends from Jew camp.
Okay.
Actually, one of whom is a really close friend of mine that I think she was 2 years older than me, but it's been 40 years. She might be my oldest friend in my life.
Wow.
Met in like 1980. It's crazy. Yeah.
That was a great year.
Yeah.
Best decade ever. Mm-hmm. Things have been going down the tubes ever since.
Tell me more.
You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a couple of just questions that I know that the audience loves when I poke fun of things. You started the charity.
Yes.
Why?
Because when I was diagnosed with breast cancer a few weeks before my wedding.
Never a good time, by the way.
Yeah. Not really. And you're like marrying this hot doctor and he finds it. And just a few weeks.
I read that. It was like
kind of crazy.
Felt the lump.
He did. Wasn't really looking around. And I'd love to say there was something crazy going on the other end. Wasn't really the case either. But he was looking for the remote control and stumbled upon a tumor. And
that's in your bra? Where was the remote control?
Just laying in bed,
okay, I see.
Yeah. And pre-agita wedding day stress. And then he pulled me into the bathroom. It's like this fluorescent light and he's digging in my armpit. And I was like, what are you doing? And his first question, this was 2005, do you have breast cancer in your family?
Wait, what kind of doctor is he?
Internal medicine and rheumatology.
That kind of came in handy at the time then.
It really kind of did.
Wasn't the reason you fell in love with him, but it was definitely a bonus that you didn't expect.
It was a huge bonus I didn't expect. I'm the daughter of a gastroenterologist. My dad retired in 2019, and I've always been around healthcare my entire life. So that was sort of our family's thing. He was a master of the American College of Gastroenterology and specialized in Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. He's still with us. I'm talking about him in that way. But yeah, my folks live in New Jersey, and I really grew up with so much privilege, especially medically. And yeah, my husband. So my friends tease me like daddy issues. I'm like, you think?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Right. Why not? I'll take it.
Just add it to the list, the check boxes.
I mean, there are no empty check boxes, but there's no empty boxes.
Well, I asked the question because I'm going to just predicate this, that starting a nonprofit back when there was nothing for Gen X and cancer, made a lot of sense. There was this wellspring at the time. There was me. There was Planet Cancer. There was Immerman Angels, First Sense, like the OG crowd of AYAs.
Yes.
Today, fast forward to a question I will ask you later, is if someone says, I want to start a charity, do you smack them in the head? Or do you
Correct.
guide them? So what was it that inspired you to start a nonprofit back in the day?
That's such a great question. There really was nothing for, that I could relate to. Now, I was very specifically, because I was around these scientists, I wasn't looking for a broad cancer charity. I really wanted to find someone. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of how it started. I mean, how could I contribute? I needed to give something back, I mean, it was like, God's taken cancer's taken my hair, my, everything. Like, it's not going to take my wedding. I got married 3 weeks post-diagnosis and I started chemo a week after my wedding.
Best honeymoon ever.
Best honeymoon ever. Yes. Yeah. Over Aruba. At Wild Cornell. Like,
yeah, Aruba or infusion. Go to the Zagat guide for that one.
That's amazing. It's like when travel and medical insurance merge, like what will that look like? Yeah. And so it was a really my whole wedding day was there were so many doctors there. I mean, all the same guys that were at my bat mitzvah, of course, but they were like, congratulations, how are you feeling? But I felt so afraid. And there was one woman literally who changed my life, an Israeli woman. And
that was my cancer buddy talk about you. I read about you found a cancer buddy.
I did. And
her name?
Michal Alibeoff.
That's an Israeli name.
You better believe it. And she passed away 13 years ago, Valentine's Day. So
here we are.
And here we are.
All of a shalom.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was wild. And the day we met, she invited me over, which was unusual for me. I hadn't had kids yet. I had 2 awesome stepkids now. But so she invited me to her home. It was an entire house, by the way, which I had never been in a townhouse. That was kind of crazy. As she opened the door, she's like, kiss the mezuzah. It's the Israeli way. Follow me. Going up flights and flights of stairs. And she takes me into her bedroom. And there was, I guess, the closet had a mirror face. And I'm standing in front. I'm like, what are you? She was like, I have something for you. That's why I brought you here. She takes out a box of these designer scarves. And she stood right behind me and put them over my head. So she said, you want to put the scarf here over the top of your ear, tie the knot down low.
Wait, was she prepping you for baldness?
She was prepping me for baldness, but she didn't tell me what she was doing. And so I said, wow, these scarves are so beautiful. May I ask what you're doing? And she had fought in the Israeli army. She was in the IDF for a few years.
Oh my.
And she said, I'm gearing you up for battle, baby. And there was something in that moment. She took me by the arm, both of our arm hairs. I'm like, we need to help everyone. She was like, right, I'm going to be in Tel Aviv this summer. And I want to make sure that while you're going through chemo that you're going to walk around the Upper East Side. No one will know, because it was such shame in her culture. Right. And, it was these magic scarves that were going to give me strength and courage, because she was so courageous and I was terrified. So I basically couldn't even, we would have lunch once a week. We have to do something. And I kept those scarves. And I passed them down to recipients. I never knew how many we'd get. I didn't know who I thought I was. I was tracking, and maybe you can relate. I'm sure you can. Demographically, psychographically, every person I heard of that had breast cancer
was 80.
Yes, all of that is true. I'm like, Mom, you're the biggest yenta. Find me someone under 80, under 70, under 60, under 50. And my dad had a massive practice in GI and in internal medicine. And he was like, honey, I looked through all of my patients. I can't find anyone that was even 50,
right.
So I definitely.
Were you here in the city the whole time?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. And as soon as I graduated Ithaca College, I moved to Manhattan.
I went to Binghamton.
What?
How much more do we need in common? Wegmans.
I mean, hello. There's one here now. I'm afraid to go to the one downtown because I will never go home. I walk those aisles, the candy aisles, late nights with the friends on Route 13.
They have the best bread.
The best.
They make the best fresh bread.
I mean, Wegmans was an experience.
Yeah. I tend to dwell on Wegmans way too much because of my Binghamton experience and the fact that it's here on like West 4th Street now by the Cube.
Yeah.
I hope it's as friendly culturally as it is in Schenectady.
Right. I don't know about that.
Yeah, because they just like everything upstate. Everyone's nice.
Everyone was really nice. And I'll bring back to Dr. Fafalak, the husband. He went to Union College. So,
okay.
Yeah. But a different time.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
Well, I ask about knowing shit exists before the internet. And now there's too much shit that exists after the internet. But back in those days, there really were only 3 young breast cancer groups.
okay.
One of which was a Jewish breast cancer group called Sharsheret. Did you know Rochelle?
I knew Rochelle, and she was so
She
fantastic.
was such a delight. Another Oliver Shalom.
Please. I mean, I just can't. That woman was extraordinary.
For the listeners, Rochelle Sharetz, founder of Sharsheret, young Jewish women with breast cancer.
Yes.
An amazing organization. Still around.
They do phenomenal work. And she had really, I mean, she ran marathons. She did everything. She inspired so many people. I will say, I remember Michal took me to a few of their meetups. But when Michal had triple negative BRCA positive breast cancer 3 years before, they wouldn't give her a match that she could meet. It was only talking to someone on the phone.
Okay.
So that was why she wanted to, Michal and I would say, let's do something together. She was like, I'll make jewelry. Her whole thing was like, you know, you love advocacy, you'll talk to women, and I'll get all the Ramaz mothers to give us money. Like that was like her whole thing. And so I went to Israel to say goodbye to her, but by then I had like a map out of the website and a roadmap. And I really just felt like, you know, she was my buddy. She gave me the tools, the resources, the tips. I'm still very close with her daughter who's getting married in September. And if it wasn't, and also I was on Masada for my 21st birthday. Israel is so important to me. And the fact that I met this woman who literally took me by the hand changed my life. And when I say I can't state it enough, we were the only ones, we felt like, on the Upper East Side. And then, you know, I'm looking at zip codes and demographics. I'm noticing more Upper East Side. And of course, they're all over. But I remember saying to my husband, you know, we have to start something. He's like, so what you're telling, he's like, what you have and what Michal had is very rare. And I said, well, I have ER positive breast cancer. That's garden variety, over 80% of cases. He's like, right, but at your age, and I literally thought everyone had died, and that's why there was no one that I could talk to.
Right.
So I remember Ann Moore gave me the book, Why Wore Lipstick to My Mastectomy.
Carolyn Lucas, a really dear friend of mine.
Oh, really?
I love her to death. Yeah.
Oh my God, tell her I said hi.
Okay,
I adore her.
I'll text her later, yeah.
I love that. And her...
A pioneering book, by the way.
Oh,
a pioneering book.
Beyond.
Why I Wore Lipstick to My... She was on the show. Why I Wore Lipstick to My Mastectomy. Check it out, guys.
She is incredible. And you know
She
what?
had a Lifetime TV show.
Are you kidding me? She did so much.
Yeah.
She did so much. And when I remember, you know, I've always been very curvy, but like when I would walk down the street, like no one was whistling at me anymore. And like, I remember her saying like she would put the lipstick on, she got the confidence, and her cousin Hallie, may she rest in peace, passed away. And I was with her towards the end of her life. I met her through a mutual friend, and she was amazing. And she was instrumental in getting breast density bills passed. I mean, right. The Are You Dense Act. I mean, she was really...
But that just speaks to giving perspective on how much we had to fight for different things 20 years ago.
It's fight and people like literally fight. And, you know, and we'll get to the charity later, but what was so crazy is I had a moment about last week where I took a young woman for a wig, and she told me, she lived in the Bronx, no one said to her, you're too young to have cancer. And she like didn't have insurance, like no one, and she was 28. Like they treated her like she was, you know, an 80-year-old woman getting breast cancer.
Yep.
Like, and that to me Oh my God, it made my heart sing. I was so
the fact
happy to
that
hear that.
It happens now. That's progress.
It really is progress. I mean, it's incredible.
On the end of progress, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with more shenanigans.
Love it. Finkelstein, Zachary shenanigans.
All right, we'll be right back.
Thanks.
I was thinking about something you said before about how the hell am I alive? And because this is such a Yid show, I don't think I've really ever said this out loud. I don't know if I've intentionally not said it. My late first cousin, David Stein, he died of brain cancer. Unrelated to me, but just another tragic shanda in the family.
Sorry.
Was a rabbi. He married my wife and I. He did Aliyah. He did Camp Ramah. He did all the kibbutz stuff and the everything in Israel. He happened to be in Jerusalem on January 10th, 1996, my surgery day. He led a minyan at the Wailing Wall during my surgery. And I gotta say, it probably helped. It probably helped.
I believe that it did.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And now, I don't know about you, I feel like between Israel and cancer and everything since October 7th, I mean, there's just no words for like what's going on over there too. It's
Right.
just devastating.
Right. And yet Israel is bringing to the universe the most like 29th century Star Trek cancer shit that you never heard of before.
Wow.
What's coming out of Israel is astonishing. I'm waiting to line up some of the investors and that when they come over stateside to be here in the studio to talk about that stuff.
That's amazing.
So again, like Jews doing good things in cancer over there, but bringing it to the States in our completely bullshit healthcare system is another story.
Right. But they are right in tech, in medical tech. She told me that a long time ago. And believe me, I mean, it's almost 15 years that she passed. But when I tell you, can I tell you her contribution? You ready for this?
Is it better? If she wasn't in the military, what else can you tell me?
She brought the cold caps to the U.S.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are a big hit.
Yeah. So, and she was instrumental with my cause because she was, eating it. I'd go over there. We'd joke. She's handing me edamame as a snack, edamame. Like, I don't want this. Like, she's like, I know you want your M&Ms, but we have to eat healthy, do yoga, do all this. And the bottom line is she had BRCA1 and she didn't get a double mastectomy. She was diagnosed 2002, not to like shame her in any way.
This is pre-Jolie.
Yeah, this is right. Jolie was 2013, correct?
Yeah.
So literally, I didn't know her obviously when she went through it the first time. In 2010, she had a recurrence, and she said that she had been searching for something where she would be able to keep her hair this time. Mm-hmm. She had already lost the hair, and she came across in the Netherlands cold capping, and she said to Ann Moore, our doctor, very well-known breast oncologist at Weill Cornell, who just retired after like 40 years. She said to her, if I buy the system and my sisters come from Tel Aviv to apply this during my chemo, can I do that here? And she said, absolutely. She paid $115,000 for the system. It was approved by the EU and not the FDA. It was not here. And Cornell became one of the clinical sites. And so she did them. She did it so that she didn't lose her hair again. And
that's amazing.
When I went to Israel, I had it is amazing. However, I'm always like, I believe in Eastern medicine and all that. I mean, I'm obviously such a Western medicine and Eastern really complements it. And she taught me a lot of that. And I do believe it, but I never believe like instead of. And everyone can make their own decisions, of course, but I'm sure it's just due to my upbringing. But what I will say is when we were in Tel Aviv, she was having horrible headaches. And she was on the phone with our oncologist. I put her in touch with my husband, everyone, and they didn't do a brain MRI at the hospital in Tel Aviv. They only did a CAT scan. And so she said, she was in denial. She's like, it's these caps, they're freezing my skull. Right. So that's kind of what I believe me, I mean, she died with a full head of hair, but it was just so and she took me to Bits and Pieces, which is our wig provider.
Right.
We've brought over 200 women there below the age of 40 in the past 12 years. And had she not taken me there and showed me what to do, how to care for a wig, who to see, what to expect, I wouldn't be here. But she passed. Yeah, it was 2012. So she never got to see. I mean, when the cold caps, I started hearing about them, and I was afraid. I had spoken to people, and they were like, "Look, you're a small local charity. If people come back to you and have a problem, they're not FDA approved yet." And then when they were, like, Sloan still didn't have them. Like, why didn't Sloan have them? And now, of course, we know that they do, and they're a great option, I think, especially for women who have gone through it again. And I mean that, as a woman, as a man, the hair thing is a big thing until you talk to a woman with metastatic breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. Let's switch gears to the nonprofit therapy stuff. What informed your mission statement that was different than like Young Survival Coalition or Living Beyond Breast Cancer, some of the other groups that existed at the time?
Great question. There were so many organizations doing things for research. And without research, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. But where I felt what was missing is women and men needed something now. So there were only 1,800 men getting breast cancer back then. We're now close to 3,000 a year. And that really was the difference. Research is later. And I never knew how hard it was going to be. I mean, my husband's like, when I was telling him that, he's like, so I'm like, Bob, New York City is so isolating. We live in these little boxes. He's like, so you're trying to tell me there's like a secret society of young people with cancer in general, but with young breast cancer specifically, what you're telling me. And I'm like, that's what I'm telling you.
Well, we didn't want it to be a secret society. It's just like
there
was no internet back then.
There was no internet back then. And it was different now. I mean, obviously with stigmas and everything, and kudos to the Gen Zers and the millennials, for really, I don't have one bald photo of myself, because if I had that meant it was real.
2.
What? Yeah, but
with the camera that went.
Yeah. The single-use cameras. Yeah. No, I definitely felt like Alanis Morissette. Like I was sort of like goth, and like I never like saw my clavicle. I've always been about like 20, 30 pounds overweight. And I was like, wow, like my bones are popping out. I'm bald. I don't have a chest anymore. Like, who am I? I mean, it was really wild. But I have to say, I never could have predicted. And I knew that there was an increase. But in terms of our mission statement, I knew that I needed to utilize my network. I've lived in Manhattan for 30 years. I know a lot of people, like a lot. And it's not just, and I was also like hawking Celebrex and like Ambien and like to every specialty
Good
in
times.
Manhattan. Really good times. Love and Other Drugs. Not so much. It's not exactly like that film, but it was wild. But honestly, I felt like I want to be a resource to doctors. Like I've memorized the PDR. Like they need to know about the newest, latest trials and things coming out. Like I really, really kind of felt very brainwashed, but it was exciting, new drug launches and all of that. And yeah, I felt like I literally was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. And don't get me wrong, my parents worked for everything they ever have. They were born in the same hospital in Brooklyn and both grew up very poor.
How many was Maimonides?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only hospital in Brooklyn to get born at when you're Jewish.
Especially when your mother grows up on Kings Highway.
Yes.
And your dad in Sheepshead Bay. Yeah, of course.
Wait, we didn't get to the mission statement.
Oh, the mission statement.
No, you got too interesting for me.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. I'm a little bit all over the place working on that. But yeah, so I think that what was missing was mental health, right? Like that was, first of all, the wig was exorbitantly expensive, $3,000, and insurance wasn't covering it when I tried to buy a wig. And so that was really expensive. So I'm like, what do other women do? Like, what do other people do? What do people do that don't even speak the language, like that live in the outer boroughs? I mean, this is so grassroots that it's like, it can't be anything else.
Right.
And for a myriad of reasons, but I love the way it is and I wouldn't change a thing. And I think that was a problem. And then, they couldn't tell me where to get my wig, but mental health, my therapist was instrumental in getting me to see that I believe that I would have a future. Every person, I did not have a cancer gene that we know of yet, although everyone in my family's died of cancer. There's about 3 of us left.
You're fine.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Between my dental and my cancer genes, I am just like, believe me, I am... Whew.
You are J-date material.
I am like, oh yeah. I am like, believe me, if I was ever on like J-date, like swipe, like forget her, like what is she going to live 2 years? I mean, yeah, with no teeth, not a good look. But yeah, so it was really crazy. And I felt like there were all of these services that really addressed the whole being that weren't available. And I knew how to build a best of, okay, because that's what I had. And when my hair was growing back, I watched an E special and I was like, I'm having this guy, David Evangelista, like, give me my first haircut. I mean, like, I thought who I was, right? And the feeling that he gave me when I went to see him and got my first haircut, and the moment that, like, I call them like hair milestones, like being able to put your hair over your ear and all of these things. I mean, and I recognize that this is such a different conversation for people with metastatic breast cancer. And our community, we've funded over 100 women with metastatic breast cancer, and they're thriving, and they've taught me so much.
Why did you choose the name 5 Under 40?
Great question. So I figured 1 in 8 women in their lifetime, but that's not really what stood out about it. It was just, I knew that I was looking for 4 other women, literally, and I manifested a little too well. And now we need a rebrand. Okay, that's really kind of what it comes down to. And it's all very, we're on our 3rd round of ambassadors, and the women are getting younger and younger. We have a 19-year-old with no genetic predisposition.
My God.
It's just unreal what has happened. And never could I have imagined that the volume of them, and that they're even getting younger. And in terms of the services, we started out with 10 services, and now we offer over 30. And what I think is so unique, you'll say, like with the cancer continuum, right? So we unite young women with breast cancer at different stages of detection, treatment, survival. And that's kind of what we talked about. And then, of course, survivorship.
You were giving them what they didn't know they needed.
Wow. I said to my board member 3 years ago, someone told me that exact line. And I said, I can't think of a better testimonial, but you did it first. And you did it for everyone. Young, old, there's over 100 different breast cancers. I mean, every cancer. When I think about what you did, because I was also in a lot of those rah-rah rooms in my pharmaceutical career. Oh yeah. But they weren't like that. I mean, to know that you would be surrounded by people that like hearing those words, you have cancer, are so jarring at every age, and especially when you're young. Yeah. And breast cancer is like over 90% now. What they'll say is over 90% of breast cancer is curable. When you're talking about the younger patient population, of course, 30% are greater risk of mortality.
It doesn't untraumatize it any much.
No.
It's still traumatizing.
And
it's not a contest.
It's not a contest, but you know what? When there was just you and the 4 people you had and me, it wasn't a contest who is sicker. However, when you can count the amount of people on one hand that have lived all you want to do is compare yourself to them to think how you can live. Because every person I ever met that heard you have cancer in my family passed away. Every single one. My mother she was never told us when they were sick. She would say, this one has cancer.
Right. The cancer.
The cancer. And it's always whisper, whatever. And then I wouldn't see them again until they were in hospice. And that was the last time I saw them. So I literally was like planning, I don't know what your experience was, but I was like every night planning my funeral in my head. That's how I went to sleep. And when I woke up, I couldn't wait to call my mom and say that I had this really bad dream that I had cancer. And then it was like, holy shit. Did you dream?
No, I think about that I was so young.
Right.
21, which is just an age of unadulterated invincibility.
So different.
I never thought I was going to die.
Wow.
Never.
See, that's the difference.
It didn't even occur to me. It was the most blissful denial of ignorance by being an invincible 21-year-old that I remember it very well. I just never thought I would die. Wow. It just seemed implausible that I would die. And to this day, I don't think I'm involved. Everything hurts now.
Tell me
the late
about
effects are all sorts of fun.
Right.
But I don't live and breathe by, all right, I'll put it to you this way. My dogma with the universe is it's not a problem until it is. Other people are like, if there's no problem, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So you got to pick which one you are, because you either live in fear or you don't.
Right. That's what people were trying to tell me. And I was an anxious basket case. And the cancer buddy gave me the hope that I would live. And then when I lost her, that fear came creeping back.
Yeah.
And it was, and then I removed my other breast. I mean, I'm not going to get into specifics because everyone is getting cancer young nowadays. And it's not unique anymore. I mean, people would tell me from college, oh my God, you're the bride that got breast cancer. Guess what? We've got 40 girls that were going through their weddings or having a baby or every situation you can imagine. And it's such a privilege for me to get to go on this journey with people, right? Like, don't you find that? See, what I feel like what's so different between you, obviously, you struck a chord and people wanted community and they wanted other like men and women and different. And I remember thinking it's not a contest, but I remember thinking if I went to CancerCon, this is how like protected I was in a bubble. My parents just like shielded me from stuff. It was like not normal. The overprotective Jewish, like you can't make it up. They were like, people don't die from breast cancer. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to Google anything because every time I tried to look for young people with breast cancer, zero.
Yeah.
All I saw was a sea of pink and white hair and nothing stuck with me. And I remember Michal and I would do the Komen walk and that was our thing. And she would not wear the Survivor t-shirt. And I was always wearing it. And I never you didn't see the commercials that were like 20-year Survivor.
Right.
I remember the Komen commercial
because
clearly.
fear drives donations.
Yes, and they raised $14,000. So I'm like, great. So we'll do Komen and I'll buy breast cancer stamps. But then it was like there is a litany of resources that people need. So we built a network and it started out like it was pretty much my wedding list. I'm not going to lie. But I was able to get to these people because of I never got a $500 haircut. Like I just like, it kind of wasn't my thing. But like having someone like David, who cares? He was on the Rosie O'Donnell show. He understands the science behind hair regrowth. So he knows that he wants your hair to grow down and not out. So all of these, I needed women to have these experiences. I needed them to have Edward from Bits and Pieces, like walk them through. I remember seeing all of these celebrities on the wall, like, oh my God, they got their wigs here too. And there were, of course, there were always the news women. And I was like, what is happening with the news women? You know, right. Like, the Stacey Sager, like the real like OGs, you know? And I think like, I just remember actually, and when with my diagnosis also, and I'm sorry if I'm like all over the place, I didn't understood how like fertility and mortality were in the same sentence. Like it was so bizarre, like the juxtaposition of the two in the same conversation. Like, what do you mean I can't have kids?
Well, I'll give Gen X some credit where credit is due, where the young adult groups, even still today, the groups, the next generation, the Degrassi High, sophomore class,
totally
are, it's never about pity.
No.
There's no pity. There's no sorrow. When you show happy people, we're actually happy. We're sad we're there, but we're actually happy. And we don't make people feel guilt for us having cancer.
I love that.
So I give credit where credit. Stupid Cancer was not the first organization to do that. I just took it to a different level.
I feel like you did it was the first organization to do that because it was empowerment. It was like, I mean, I will say. I'll take credit because you need to. You need to say thanks, Finkelstein.
Finkelstein.
That's all you need to do, please.
But I want to give credit where credit is due. And I mentioned these organizations in my documentary, The Cancer Mavericks, which they were groups like YSC, First Descent, Airmen Angels, Planet Cancer. They were all there. The Oncofertility Consortium, Fertile Hope, even Livestrong themselves, and Doug Ullman with the lead, incubated me.
Wow.
And I basically took all the crap in the kitchen and made Stupid Cancer out of it to be the representative of all of us. So
but do you ever take a beat and like, how powerful is that? Like, take this from a girl who has lived and breathed this diagnosis herself through her family, her best friend, the funeral she went to last week and spoke at Frank Campbell Funeral Home. Like, do you understand the magnitude of what you created? When women would come into my office on 9th between 5th and 6th, and we'd have these like meetups, okay? And we'd always have an expert speaker. And they were like, Jen, I just went to CancerCon. Cancer is amazing. And I'm like, what? That's amazing. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And literally, I'm like, they're like, you should try to reach out to Matthew. I'm going to try to get you in touch with him. And I was like, please, please.
I was down the block.
You were?
Yeah. On Worth Street.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's take one more break and come back for a lightning round.
Love that.
Okay.
All
right, I have one more nonprofit question for you.
And see, I'm not even like showcasing my cause because I'm like fangirling over you.
I'll take it.
Okay,
I'll accept
good.
it. But we're going to put all the links to what you guys do and some really cool stuff in the episode notes so everyone listening can learn more about what you're doing at 11,000 under 40 now.
Yeah, we were 12,150 according to American Cancer Society in 2020. And you know what was a crazy thing? I remember Amy Robach, who, she was like our celebrity. Which I
remember her.
Yeah. She's been through some stuff, but she's great. She came to our office and she interviewed like one of our women, and it was, I guess the year was 2016 or 2015. But I'll never forget, I had all the stats and they were speaking to me at my desk. And they didn't use any of them. And she called me and she was like, Amy's like, I'm fucking livid. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, the CMO of like the medical head at ABC News doesn't want to incite fear.
Oh, God.
Because I had
the numbers. Was that Sanjay Gupta back then?
No, you know what? They wanted me to say 5 or 6%.
Oh, he was CNN, sorry.
Yeah, right. He's CNN. He's the guy now telling you that you have like 10 credit cards worth of plastic in your brain right now.
Yes.
Right.
Quality stuff. I think my radiation is fending that off. My late effects are now anti-magnetic. It's good stuff. All right, lightning round here.
Okay.
I asked AI because I think Gen X is now purporting that either it's James Cameron, Terminator, Doom, Apocalypse, or it's our grand savior, or it's going to ruin everything both ways. Mm-hmm. So I asked ChatGPT, if you were any fictional character from any film, TV show, in science, art, music, or literature, who would you be a combination of and why? Now, you can guess, but I'm going to tell you who it said. And none of them are Jewish.
Okay.
I'll throw gold on my ear in there.
All right. I'll take it.
You are Sarah Connor from Terminator 2.
No way.
You're tough as hell, laser focused on your mission.
Okay, you're going to show me that when we're done here because I don't believe you.
Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz, thrown into a storm she never saw coming.
Perfect shitstorm.
Came out the other side in Technicolor. And somehow you're Tina Turner. Survivor fighter, innovator, takes no shit, owns her womanhood.
Come on.
Put them together and you get a warrior, a guide, and a legend all rolled into one. Thank you, ChatGPT.
Will you marry me, ChatGPT?
Yes. I'm sure your husband would love that.
He'd be fine
Just
with
have an open marriage with a digital assistant.
I don't, now you're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's sidebar that for now. But I don't know about that. See, you're the maverick. You're the Cancer maverick, and it's not a contest. But what I do is so different. What I do is
what you do is necessary. It's born of your condition.
Right. And it's intimate. It's like the one-on-one. We have a team of peer matches led by an LCSW who educates the women that are at least 2 years out of our program and mentors them. And it's a growing group of women.
And it's essential and important and needed.
The other thing that we do.
And you should be proud of that too. Take a beat.
Thank you. It is needed. However, it's finally like getting recognized, like as saying like, thanks American Cancer Society, right? Like your annual report that came out January 2024, finally acknowledging that under 50 breast and colon cancer are on the rise. Like, appreciate it. Because people, I won't say, I have people that are like my ride or dies. And then there were some, I'm like, I am seeing a trend. I'm noticing a trend. They're like, you're looking for it.
All right. The website is the number 5 under the number 40, 5under40.org, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Finkelstein, you will be a returning champion. I guarantee you. This is not the last time you're coming in that hot seat.
Promise.
Young adult breast cancer survivor of 20 years.
Almost like 19 and 9 months.
Well, by the time this airs, it will be 20 years.
That's crazy.
Founder, president of 5under40. Smoking hot badass, Tina Turner, Dorothy Gale, Sarah Connor.
Didn't see that coming.
Yes. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Matthew Zachary. Maverick.
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.
Are you feeling stuck in your career or lacking employment at the moment? Experiencing symptoms of job dissatisfaction? You might be suffering from a common condition known as career stagnation. But don't worry, there's a solution. Monster.com. Monster.com offers a comprehensive suite of career-boosting tools designed just for you. Our free resume review and AI interview prep tool will help you stand out from the crowd. Need more guidance? Dive into our career advice articles for expert tips and insights. And don't forget to check out our salary tools to ensure you're getting paid what you're worth. Side effects may include a new job, increased confidence, and a brighter future. Consult Monster.com today and take the first step towards your new career. Ready for your next job opportunity? Visit Monster.com now.